What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my 25 Days of Christmas Marathon. Today, we're going to be talking about another pretty underrated Christmas film, Black Christmas. No, not this garbage. Get out of here. The original Black Christmas. At this point, I'm sure most of you already know that this is another horror Christmas film, but not just any horror Christmas film, but the one that started it all off, including the slasher genre. Many think that it was Halloween that started off the slasher genre, and for good reason, because this film is probably the least popular out of all your favorite slasher titles, but with this film coming out first, you can definitely see where a lot of your slasher inspirations came from. If you go and watch this film, then go watch one of your favorite slashers right after, like Halloween, Scream, Friday the 13th, or When a Stranger Calls. You can see the inspiration straight away, like the way Carpenter takes his POV shot ideas from, where Wes Craven and Simon West got their phone call ideas, and Cunningham getting his kill inspirations from. Now, this isn't to say that Black Christmas did everything the best, but at the very least, it deserves its flowers in that respect. When it comes to the story, it's a fairly simple one at face value. You have your group of older teens, again, a Wink at Screams cast, that live together in one house where they start to experience these odd phone calls, and then they start dropping like flies one by one. There isn't really a whole lot more to expand on there, but where the film really gets off is due to the tension that's being built as the story goes on, along with the simple yet effective kills. The film is definitely more of a slow burn, but that's where it gets most of its character from, where it builds up this tremendous tension and eerie feeling as time goes on, finally climaxing to the third act into something brilliant. The ending of the film may leave a sour taste in your mouth, but to me, it honestly makes the film that much better, along with really enhancing that creepy tone they were going for all along. As for the characters, to me, they were just fine. Nobody really stood out to be this bold protagonist like a Sidney Prescott per se, but they all had a bit of personality to each of them and playing their roles pretty well. Our main protagonist, Olivia Hussey, again, was just fine, but to me, she did stand out the most out of everyone due to her handling the conflict basically on her own, on top of her own subplot. But when it comes to the antagonist, he may not stick out like a Michael Myers or have the physical presence like a Jason, but man oh man was he freaky. For my money, he is probably the most underrated antagonist in slasher film history, where he brings this unsettling and unhinged persona to the character. A face of the killer would have been pretty good, but as mentioned, the act of not knowing also enhances that creepy tone they were going for. But what we do get from him is arguably the scariest thing about a slasher villain, and that's the phone calls he makes. The type of sound mixing they used for the calls were so memorable, but not just in a good way, but in a way that would keep you up for that night, because the style they approached it with is horrifically unsettling. Now for me, one of the more underappreciated aspects of this film, especially discussing it today, is the cinematography and technical aspects. On top of the sound mixing, Bob Clark used a lot of the veteran filmmaking tools to add a lot of depth and mystery to this film, like how the cinematography had this dirty and grainy look to it, which only helped enhance that tense tone they were going for. Clark also did a great job incorporating these POV shots, and also the quick panning in and out with the camera, to really add to the tension the film was trying to set, and also give the camera work some personality. The usage of the shadows was also expertly done in this film, especially when it came to the shots with the antagonist. They did such a good job hiding what he looked like, and really only giving you subtle bits, but with the subtle bits they do show, encapsulates just how crazy he is. Now, although this film was commendable, it certainly wasn't perfect, unfortunately. This doesn't knock the film back then when it first came out, but watching it now, the trends they started have just been done over better, from the camera work in Halloween, the character work in Scream, and the kills in Friday the 13th. To kind of back onto that dated issue, there are some pretty clear dated tactics they use for some of the kills. I don't want to get into spoilers, but for those who've seen the film, probably already know what I'm talking about, and that's with the bad kill. It's certainly iconic, but also dated at the same time. My next issue comes from the side plots. I can appreciate them trying to add things to help facilitate the plot, and not just watering down the main conflict, sort of like how Friday the 13th messed up, being so boring with its downtime, but the subplots they did add, they just didn't really let them breathe or develop. Most of the subplots were mentioned for a few minutes, and then sort of just kind of forgotten about. And my last issue is with the characters. If I'm honest, they're just all kind of on the weaker side. As mentioned, the way Wes Craven does his characters were great, giving them all these different personalities, but here, they attempt to make them different from one another, but they really got as much personality as wallpaper paste. They were just so boring, and I didn't really care if anything happened to any of them, including our lead, Olivia Hussey. I just didn't really find her all that appealing, where her acting abilities were a little wonky as well. Overall, the positives definitely outweigh the negatives of the film, but it's just not perfect like I thought it was when I first saw the film. But Black Christmas still gets a very solid 7 out of 10 from me. Let me know what you think of Black Christmas in the comments below, and let me know what film you'd like to see me review next. See you guys in the next one.